everybody, it's Seriously Sydney, and today we're working on, fountain pen portrait number 3. There we go. And so I figured I would do this in kind of a general walkthrough to give you guys some inspiration in case you guys wanted to do this, to kind of show you a little bit of what I was thinking and all, and not be a full tutorial, but more of an inspiration or a stepping stone. I was having a really hard time getting the cap off that ink. And I got it all over my hand. Anyway, so material-wise, I'm using a couple different inks. So first I'm testing out these 2 different blue inks with the orange ink to see which looks best with it. I ended up going with the darker blue. And see here, if I pick it up anytime soon, I probably won't. But when I do, I have this really cool, like, piston-filled brush pen for ink. You could probably put other stuff in it too, but I think I've just been using it for ink. Got the same fountain pen. Its name will be in the video description because I have a feeling I am butchering its pronunciation. Anyway, so I've been finding that starting off with the nose is the best. However, with this piece, I had a reference for this piece, and I did not follow the reference at all, so I ended up having to redo this piece, which you'll see in next week's video. But I found that the nose is usually the best place to start because it's kind of your center line for the face. It gets the angle of the face, and it also helps building like the proportions for the forehead and everything, because I mean, it's kind of like your nose is same height, I guess, as your forehead, and from your nose to your chin. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you were to divide the face into thirds, your nose length and everything should be somewhere around 1/3 of the face. And then it also helps with positioning the eyes and the angles of the eyes and stuff. What else? I went with this color scheme because this orange is kind of closer to like if I had to call it anything, I would call it probably a burnt sienna. And the blue is kind of like an ultramarine blue. So I thought those 2 colors would be very contrasting and kind of make the whole piece pop. I do end up using some of the Pentel, is it pocket brush? Pentel Color Brush Pen. There we go. So I do end up using, I believe, the black, but I might have also used some of the sepia. Let's see. I have to double check on that. And technique wise, see, I'm using this fountain pen's really cool because it's got the bent nib, and I'm trying to use the point of the nib for some of the small details and like general when I kind of want to do a sketched outline, if you could call it that. And then I'm using the broader bent part for the large thick lines to help give the piece a little bit more flow and like some shadow. It helps with adding shadow, and it also helps with just adding character to the piece and expression. Another thing, it kind of helps, this is kind of a reminder that I need to pay attention to my proportions when I do stuff, because if I don't, I can kind of make these strange characters. So it looks like a face, but it's not proportionate at all in that ear. That poor ear. Even in the final, it's just, it's sad. It's a sad ear. Oh, So another thing in this piece, I do end up using a little bit of gouache for the teeth and the highlight in the eye because I covered that up with ink for some reason. So far, this was actually the most difficult fountain pen portrait. I think that sometimes when you're trying to do something and you want it to be proportionate, following certain proportional guidelines is a big help. Just knowing them and keeping them in mind when drawing helps, like, substantially. So I wasn't doing any of that. And it kind of shows. It kind of looks like a picture, if that makes sense. Like when you take a picture and the perspective's a little bit off, that's kind of what happened. Whoa. What happened here? Well, it seems as though I kind of lost some video that I thought I put in here, and I was not able to find it, so here you have that. Anyway, moving on. See here, I just kind of added some shading with the different stuff. I was using that for the blue ink and number 2 round brush, and then right now I'm using the piston-filled brush pen. That pen is a lot of fun to mess around with. And I guess you could probably try putting like watercolor paint in there. And then right here I'm using just a probably number 4 round brush. I have no idea what type of brush this is exactly. And I was adding a little bit of water and I'm trying to add eyeshadow. I think that turned out pretty cool. The eyeshadow technique that I was trying for there. And this ink is not waterproof, so I was able to go back in and try to blend out some of the shadows with a little bit of water. And this is cardstock, I think. I have no idea what type of paper this is, I just had it. So the water, you have to be very, very light with the amount of water you use. And here I do end up using the black Pentel Color Brush Pen. I think I said that right. For going in and adding some more depth and adding some details. And something I'm finding with doing this is really, this, I guess, challenge you could call it, is really cool for helping you to draw better, I'd say, because I've heard, if you've ever heard of the story where in a pottery class, like the teacher separates the class in half and has one half try to make the perfect pot or bowl in a month, and the other one just to make as many bowls as possible. And by the end, the group that made as many as possible ended up getting closer to perfection than the one trying to make the perfect bowl. So I'm finding, with that thought process in mind, that the more of these I'm doing, the better I'm getting at just drawing things more proportionate and to the way I want it, the image in my head, if that makes sense. Because I have a thing, I can see it, but sometimes putting it onto paper doesn't always work out. And right there I took it out of the camera because I was comparing it with the reference photo. Because I was like, something's not right, but I couldn't figure out what. And that's when I kind of realized that I had lost some of the highlights and stuff, so it's like, okay, I'll try fixing that and maybe it'll work. But what it just wasn't proportionate. So I brought in the gouache to help with that, and there I'm trying to add it to the highlights. And it turns out, that part turns out okay. And since you guys have watched this point, if you have anyway, can you comment proportions down in the comments section? And if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more like this, or have any suggestions on videos you'd like to see, leave a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys next week. Till then, have an awesome day, week, night, whatever it is where you are. And I will be seeing you guys next week. Bye.